Good morning and welcome to the University of Chicago. Today's announcement speaks to some of the university's ongoing concerns and to our enduring values. The need to study and seek solutions to the issues confronting great cities and our commitment to open and vigorous debate among diverse viewpoints. More than half the world's population live in urban areas. While cities can provide greater opportunities for economic growth and well-being, increasing urbanization in Chicago and around the world also creates a new set of policy challenges on issues such as poverty, education, health, and crime. These urban problems do not admit simple answers. Often the search for solutions requires openness to new ideas, debate across disciplines, scholarly rigor, and constant questioning. And this type of inquiry is, of course, a hallmark of the University of Chicago. The University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy serves as a bridge between urban scholarship and practical policy implementation. This involves cross-disciplinary studies by our scholars together with applied policy expertise from urban leaders and elected officials who have addressed specific challenges facing our cities. We believe that when these diverse kinds of expertise and diverse opinions come together, the combination leads to solutions that no other type of institution can produce. Today, I'm very proud to announce that we are welcoming a significant new voice to the University of Chicago community, Mayor Richard M. Daley. Mayor Daley has agreed to a 5-year appointment as a distinguished senior fellow at the Harris School. Mayor Daley will coordinate a series of 10 guest lectures each year to include a variety of leaders from around the world, perspectives and approaches concerning the major issues facing cities in the 21st century. By bringing in urban policy leaders of many perspectives, Mayor Daley will help foster illuminating discussions about how our cities can flourish and will provide University of Chicago students with very valuable educational experience. Mayor Daley has, of course, been an historic mayor at an historic time for the city of Chicago. We believe his extensive practical expertise will bring an important perspective to the vital urban policy discussions now underway at the University of Chicago. For more on this appointment and the university's urban policy mission more generally, please welcome the Dean of Chicago Harris, the Dean Colm Omertig.
Thank you very much, President Zimmer, and thank you all for being here. The University of Chicago's Harris School is delighted to welcome Mayor Richard M. Daley as Distinguished Senior Fellow at the Harris School for at least the next 5 years, but we know that often he continues for another term beyond the first. So our educational mission at the Harris School is to train the future leaders of society. And we think that the future of society is going to be in cities, and the future of cities is going to determine the future of civilization. And therefore, a study of cities and what happens in cities is a crucial part of understanding the way the world is going to change over the next generations. The university has always had a strong tradition in the study of cities. The University of Chicago's Harris School has always been particularly strong in looking at policy implementation in cities. And in the last couple of years, the Harris School has set up the Urban Policy Initiative, which is a way of focusing our attention specifically on cities. And the university has funded 5 new faculty positions to support our efforts in this regard. And we see the appointment of Mayor Daley as a crucial component that rounds off what we do in terms of cities. It brings to us an element of policy implementation and practice, which is not something that we have naturally within the faculty, but which is essential for a true understanding of what's going on. Mayor Daley has probably more strategic vision of what the future of cities will be like than anybody else, certainly that I have come across. And we need this framing in order to focus the kind of work that we do and our understanding of the work that we do within the academy. As President Zimmer said, the University of Chicago's Harris School was set up in 1988 in order to make this bridge between scholarship at the university and the real world outside. And we're proud to continue this tradition for the last 20 years, and many of our faculty members have been leaders in the understanding of different aspects of society: race, crime, urban poverty, housing, and so on. And we would like to continue this tradition and broaden it by bringing in key people from outside who have an element of knowledge and understanding that we don't necessarily have within the academy. And therefore, we're particularly delighted to bring in Mayor Daley to participate and to generate conversations that I'm sure he'll feel familiar with, as the tradition of the university is to have vehement and sometimes destructive argument about every topic that's raised. And we feel that the mayor's training as mayor for the last 22 years has equipped him well to participate in our discussions, and we can only hope that we will be able to provide him with as much aggravation as he had at the city council. And I feel confident, having been dean for only a couple of years, that the faculty and the students will provide all the trouble he could ever hope to face. So it's a pleasure for me now to welcome Mayor Richard M. Daley to the Harris School, to the University of Chicago, and to look forward to working with him and indeed arguing with him for at least the next 5 years. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you. Good morning. Thank you very much, Dean Combe Omerateg. Thank you for your kind remarks, and to President Robert Zimmer for, again, his wonderful remarks. This is a great honor for me to be named Distinguished Senior Fellow at the University of Chicago Harris School of Public Policy Studies. The Harris School has distinguished itself as a leader, innovative thinking, and public policy debate. As such, has become part of the great cradle for developing future urban leaders, not just in Chicago, but throughout the world. I've had the opportunity to travel to many world's great cities, and I can tell you that we are all faced with the same basic issues that at all times seem to confront all of us, whether it's crime, whether it's lagging resources, or uneven progress among our public schools. This university provides a type of fresh thinking we need to combat these problems that gnaw at the fabric of cities around the world. As I've often said, urban centers must reflect and learn from the past, live in the present, but at all times keep a sharp eye on its future. Cities cannot survive, let alone thrive, if they continue to rely on the old methods and common ways of thinking. In order to succeed, we need a variety of perspectives. We need underlying curiosity, unflagging energy. And the Harris School is a repository of those critical ingredients and much more. I look forward to lending my voice and experience as urban leader to the important work of this great university. I can think of no better way to feed the passion I've always had for Chicago and its changing face. Due to the efforts of many, the business community, the faith-based and neighborhood organizations, this is not our forefathers' Chicago, but a global center that draws leaders from every industry, serves as a model for urban centers worldwide. Today is important for me, of course, because it marks yet another step in the next phase of my life. I can tell you that it's already been quite exciting. But this day is very significant for another reason as well. The University of Chicago holds this very special place for me and my family. It is one of the most respected institutions of higher education in the world, and it bears the name of a great city since 1892. My father, Mayor Richard J. Daley, always understood the importance of the history of the University of Chicago. It's a major proponent, and he was a very solid ally of this university. In my travels as mayor throughout the world, the first question I received from many of the people I've met throughout the world, they talk about the University of Chicago. Whether it's a student or a family member in those cities that I visited, the first question is all about the University of Chicago, and I deeply appreciate that commitment. But also my public career as state senator and also as delegate Constitutional Convention. I had members of the faculty, students who worked with me as a Con delegate in rewriting the Illinois Constitution, in state senate for 8 years, And also State's Attorney of Cook County. I had the privilege of faculty members, had the privilege of students work with me as State's Attorney of Cook County, and also the Harris School of Business as mayor of the city of Chicago for 22 years. I met him in the Fellows Program, and I deeply appreciate their importance and their opportunity to serve the people of the city of Chicago. And it's really great pride that I take. And also members of my family who have been educated here at the University of Chicago. And I think of my father and my mother. I grew up in a wonderful family environment, 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And my father said, I'm going to give you 3 things in life. I will give you the moral values you establish from your religious beliefs in your family. And secondly, I'll give you a great name. But thirdly, I'll give you an opportunity, as well as all your brothers and sisters, of any type of education you want to receive from my family. My father sacrificed for that. He gave us a feeling that education is the most important thing you can receive in life from your family, besides the moral values and the name. And he gave us a learning environment in the home, and not just in a school, which is really important. So I thank you for this great opportunity. I hope to prepare the next generation of policymakers and other future leaders, not just in government, but in business and non-for-profits that will have established themselves not only here in this great city, but throughout the world. Thank you very much.
Perhaps just a little, and then and the mayor may want to say more. So we haven't decided on the details yet, of course. The general structure is that there will be 10 events that will be coordinated by the mayor, that he will invite in speakers who belong to the vast network of urban leaders that he's worked with over the years. And we'll set up a conversation within the school and within the university for these people when they come in. My guess would be the format might be a little different depending on who exactly it is who comes in and the breadth of interest in what they have to say.
Well, I look forward to working with the university, Harris School here, and to look at different type of individuals, whether it's those who are already elected officials, business community, non-for-profits that had effect not only in Chicago but throughout the world. And so our perspective has been, we've had the Arab Forum here, we've had our hemisphere here from all the way from Argentina, Central America, Mexico, Canada, United States. We had mayors from throughout Russia, throughout China, and India, as well as Europe. And so it'll be a combination of people coming here and working with us on that lecture tour.
Mayor, how does it feel to start this next chapter? So what's
Well, you want to do that. I'm one who enjoys work. I enjoy keeping busy. I'm not one who wants to just sit back and watch the flowers grow. And so to me, the most exciting part of my life has always been some way universities and students affected public policy in my office. And you have to remember, it doesn't just come from the mayor. It comes from many people out there, especially this university.
Mr. Mayor, I'm sure you had many offers. What did you choose this one?
Well, my father told me that there's only one university called University of Chicago, and the impact that it's had upon not only our city, but the world in regards to the faculty, in regards to the graduates, has a huge impact as a global city. Long before we're a global city in the last 20 years, this university put Chicago on the map as a global city. And if you look at their graduates, where they are, both in government, non-for-profits, and businesses, throughout the world, has a huge impact upon identifying Chicago. And UD comes first Chicago, then the University of Chicago. And that's very significant in the history of Chicago.
Mr. Mayor, what's the main thing your students will need to know about succeeding in urban policy in the future?
Well, I think it's changing. If you look at you have to study the history of our country, how slow urbanization took. It's so rapid in this world. You go to China, you go to India, you go to Africa, South America. It's happening so quickly. It took us maybe 70 years to get, or more, 100 years to get there. It's done so rapidly in the formation of city-states. They have their own foreign policy, their own investment policy, and that's changing so radically. They have the same problems: urbanization, high-rise public housing. You go all over the world, same problems they have. And so what you have to have is leaders that are willing to understand the past and change the course of where we're going today. And you cannot allow them to make the same mistakes that urbanization made in the last century.
Mayor, any
Pardon me?
At the University of Chicago, we don't discuss pay for anybody, and we're not going to break this rule in the case of the mayor. We also tend not to talk about how many hours we work, but mainly because it's so high that it would shock you.
Does this leave you open then to take other positions? Does the commitment here allow you, Mr. Mayor?
Yes, it does. Yeah. Yes. Yeah.
Done something with the University of Illinois, Chicago.
Yes. Yes.
Does that mean that that will?
No, no, that has nothing to do with it. No.
And so I wondered why you didn't perhaps choose them because of that commitment there over the years.
Well, I decided to take the University of Chicago for the reasons I talked about, the importance my father related to our family, the history of our family, how the university was so important to the history of Chicago, and this was something that he was truly proud of, in a sense that whatever he could do in the improvement of the university, whatever it took, they were there. And I remember my first bill in Springfield was on behalf of the University of Chicago, very interesting, and how important that was, one of my first bills in Springfield, to assist the university in an issue in Springfield. Well, there's a number of people, of course. I don't want to mention their names, but not just elected officials, but those in collaboration with business leaders that have done remarkable things in their cities around the world. You have not-for-profit organizations. You have different groups, individuals that have done tremendous things in their cities around the world, and also in the United States. So we would work with the University, Harris School here, and work with them how we could plan them coming here.
So you're not going to be giving grades, like professor?
Not officially.
No.
Okay. What do you do your week off as mayor? What have you done?
Well, the next day, immediately the office and walking down the street, and people say, "There's the mayor. Where's his bodyguards? No. Where's everybody at? No." But people have been very friendly, and they're very appreciative of your public service, and I enjoy meeting people at all times, in different capacities. So it's been exciting, and so working Saturdays as well. So I love the opportunities to meet people and to explore different avenues.
But does it feel different, Mr. Mayor?
Well, it does in a way. You still love Chicago, so I don't know what I'm doing with all my Blue Notes as I travel. But no, I still enjoy the city, and you still know that people who are just who have that affection and passion for the city that are working in government today, or the new people that Mayor Rahm Emanuel is hiring today, that will have the same passion and commitment. Well, I think, of course, anybody would miss a job, but, life goes on. No one is, to me, is the only person that can perform a job. I think if you start believing that, then you don't believe in yourself. And to me, other people carry the job on and will do it just as better job as I have. And I hope he will, and he will do it. Pardon me? Yes. Yes, it will.
Are you working with your son?
Oh, of course. It's a great honor to work with my son. He's a graduate from the School of Business here, University of Chicago. Very proud of that.
What are you working on? Is it import business?
No. I don't know where. These all rumors are flying all over. No, I'm not. I'm a private citizen, and I'll be working on things.
You look more relaxed.
Well, I hope I was always relaxed in front of the press. I mean, some way you portrayed me not as relaxed. When you're passionate about things, you're passionate about things, and there's nothing wrong with that, having passion.
It hasn't been boring, though.
No, it hasn't. No, it's not. I love to read, and so to me, I enjoy reading at all times, and so that's part of my passion as well.
This could be a really exciting time, being in the field of education. Some exciting students who are really, I'm sure, charged up to have you here.
I'm excited to meet them as well, as well as the faculty. That's important, the faculty and the students, and to see their great commitment of changing some of the policies that were not right in the last century that they will have a huge impact upon this. And to bring in leaders from both urban community and business and not-for-profits, and to listen to them and listen to some of the challenges that they have. And I'm really fortunate to have these different forums. And that was interesting to meet mayors from around the world, and just recently in China, and to listen to their problems and their issues and their willingness to change. And I think that's one thing you have to do. Respect the past, you live in the present, but you're always changing for the future. And they are going to change these issues.
Mayor, are you thinking more in terms of international guests or domestic?
No, both domestic. There are mayors across, and business leaders that are across the country that have a huge impact upon their relationship. And the collaboration started in Chicago under the Burnham Plan. When you think the Burnham Plan, the industrial leaders of Chicago got together and said, we have to do something about the lakefront. How do we protect the lakefront and the river? And so those are the business community that stepped up. And that's been a great legacy of Chicago, where business leaders do get involved in regards to the future of the city. And you'll see it even today in the future, that another generation of young men and women who are business leaders do get involved in education, in health, in charitable events and cultural activities. They're deeply involved. It doesn't matter what political party they have or philosophy. When it comes to Chicago, they will join ranks. And that's really unusual in the country and the world, that people from all political sides will come together about what is good for Chicago. And that, to me, that really stands out as a collaboration between business and government.
Mayor, will you use lessons learned from your father in this, and what would they be?
Well, first of all, the importance of, when you saw the great changes in cities, and my father said universities are the cornerstone. Museums are the cornerstone, cultural institutions and medical institutions. And if you allow those to crumble in the 60s, which many cities did, they didn't protect them. Cities will change. They will change. But the protection they needed, and my father knew that from University of Chicago, University of Illinois, DePaul, Loyola, St. Xavier's, if you look at universities, and also cultural institutions, museums, and medical institutions. And that was a cornerstone. And many cities turned their back on those, and they moved outside the city. But here, through that efforts, they became larger and larger for the benefit of the city, both in policy and both in employment and other reasons. And I think that's one great lesson my father taught other mayors that turned their back upon cities in the 60s and 70s about those institutions.